everyone. Welcome to DevRunner. I'm Paul, and this is Subscriber Spotlight, where I have conversations with inspiring runners to motivate you along your running journey. My guest today truly is an inspirational person, a runner, and a fellow YouTuber hailing from Calgary, Alberta. Over the last 5 years, he's transformed himself in so many healthy ways. So without any further ado, I'm proud to welcome Ryan Bradley to my channel. Thank you, Ryan, for being here. It's really a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the time you have for me today.
Well, it's just a pleasure. I mean, I've been following your channel probably for like 6 months now. And,
Yep.
You know, it's just, you're very inspiring, to overuse the word. You know, I really want to encourage everybody. I want to shine a little bit of a spotlight on you and your channel because you really, your story will motivate a lot of people to get healthier,
Yep.
to become better runners, to become, you know, faster, stronger, and healthier. So, you know, again, thank you for being here. And just to jump right into it, Ryan, I'm hoping that you can give us a short bio, talk a little bit about who you are, where you're from, anything from your entire past life that you'd like to share up front with everyone.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Paul. So my name's Ryan, as Paul said, and I'm Canadian and like maple syrup, all that kind of good stuff here in Canada, and poutine. And yes, I'm healthy, but we are Canadians. We like to indulge once in a while. So I started, you know, in my journey about 5 or 6 years ago. I was in this place where you know, I wasn't healthy, and I was probably 365 was my weight. And what happened was, it was, you know, my background, I never run before. And the only time I ever ran, if I saw red and blue lights behind me, if I was going to be chased by something. But that's a whole nother conversation, and probably another YouTube channel as well. But yeah, so basically what happened was that I was doing this hike with a buddy of mine in Vancouver, and we're going to do this hike, and this little old lady passes us in his walker. And this hike should have probably taken about maybe about an hour and a half to do. We're into like hour 5 of this hike right now, and my buddy takes a look at me, and he's like, he shakes his head as this little old lady's passing us, and I'm down in the count. I can't go anywhere, and I was like, yeah, that just really happened. So I took that as like as an eye opener, and I came back, and my buddy actually said to me that if you don't change your ways, you're going to be dead by the time you're 50. And that's the way I was going. I was eating unhealthy, and I just started to look at like what were my trigger points, what were making me do these things, and what it was I was in a place where, you know, I was in an environment. I was living in Banff at the time, and it's very cliquey up there. It's really hard to meet people.
Yeah.
So I was compensating that through food. I was going through drive-throughs and pubs and all that kind of stuff, you know, to kind of get me in a social setting.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so I said to myself, you're in this amazing environment. You have all this beautiful nature around you. It's time to embrace what's here. And so I just very slowly started these, you know, small goals for myself, and measurable goals, right? So so when I was 3, I just started walking, and that's how I started, right? I was just walking a little bit, walking more, and then I was hiking, and then I was really starting to see some of the weight come off to the point where I was probably losing 10 pounds plus, you know, every couple of weeks, which is like and I was like, wow, there's something to be said about this whole running thing. So then I started to do more and more and more of that, and that, you know, and I would run, walk, and then I would pick this point out, and I said, let's run to this point, let's run to that point, and then a colleague of mine challenged me to do a 5K race, and I said, okay, well, let's do this 5K together. So did that, and then I had another friend of mine challenge me to a half marathon, and that was in Banff, and that was my first half marathon. And I did, and you know, my mom came out for it, and I had the family support, and it was just this amazing day that I had.
That's great.
And I said, you know, this is really, I want to see what more of this I could do, and that's how I started with this whole running game. That's how I started getting into this whole genre. I wish I would have started my YouTube channel back then, because then I can show in the progression of the whole way. But you don't think about that at the time. You know, I was taking photos and posting it on Facebook, but I wasn't really video documenting it. And I wish I should have, but now I can video document. My goal now is to qualify for Boston and get to the Boston Marathon in 2023. So
That's
that's
awesome.
now my focus, and that's what I'm doing now. And that's my drive. Is to drive. I set myself measurable goals. I set myself measurable achievements, right? And that's what we have to do. Would I be able to qualify this year? No, because I know my running's not in that place yet. So my goal this year, and I'm doing it in September, is to run a sub 2 hour half marathon,
That's awesome.
which is what I'm trying to do. And I'm really excited for that. I think it's going to be an amazing achievement, because that's going to be about 45 minutes shaved off of my half marathon time. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what all these fartlek runs were and
Yeah, yeah.
intervals and things like that. I'll just go for a jog, and oh, there's a half marathon. Let's enter that and see how it goes, right? Nothing about training blocks or anything. So now that I have proper coaching and proper guidance, I can really kind of, see where things go from here. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And 6 years now, later, I'm 206 pounds lighter, and
Amazing.
new zest for life. I still have an old pair of jeans I put on once in a while, and I was able to put both of my feet into one leg of the pants that I was wearing, and I said, I can't believe that's what I waited for. And
Yeah.
it's incredible, like how life changes, and you're able to see the results of hard work. And
Yeah, well, hats off to you, because I mean, your transformation is amazing. And, as I said earlier, I think it's just very inspirational, very motivational. It should help to encourage a lot of people to realize that they can make the same changes in their life if they put their mind to it. So that's awesome. That's awesome, Ryan. I want to just kind of give you I'm just kind of a little curious, because you said you started walking, started hiking, enjoying the natural beauty that was around you in Banff. Was that your first life experience with running at that point, or had there been anything earlier in life that you look back on and said, hey, I want to revisit that? Or
when I was young as a kid, I did run a little bit, nothing crazy or serious. I remember specifically I was probably around 9 or 10, and I did this cross country event at school, and no one knew I entered it, and I entered it. And I ran a couple times doing that. I remember one race I was last of everyone that was going through. And I think what discouraged me back then is, remember some other kid, was a bigger kid, throwing rice at me. And kids do weird things to each other when you're growing up. And I think at that point I was just kind of like, I think it kind of put me off of it after a while. And I wish back then I would have kept with it, because I think I would be in a completely different space right now as far as running is concerned.
Yeah.
But that my first taste of like real running was when I was in Banff. That's when I decided to take up the sport. I wasn't active at all before. Like, to be perfectly honest, I always had physical types of jobs where I was on the go a lot, burning lots of calories, just being outside. And partly why I gained the weight, because I transitioned into an office type of a job. So then I lost that, metabolism. I was by going out and doing that. So I basically said to myself, okay, now what are you going to do? Because now you're in this new setting. You're not having the calories that you were burning before. Let's try running. And I was just in that environment. Where I was working, there was a lot of guides and things like that where I was working, where they did expeditions and all that stuff. So it was just inspirational for me, seeing all these other fit people. And I was intimidated, because I was like, well, I'm not like this at all. And I said, so I said, I wonder if I can be like that. So that's what kind of flipped it for me. The company that I was associated with, which is called CMH, Canadian Mountain Holidays. I do have a special place in my heart for the corporation, because that's where I first turned things around for myself and really looking at my home. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, I want to applaud you again, because I like the fact, something I think that's important to point out about the shift in mindset for you that I find so inspirational, is that you were surrounded by all these people who were already fit, who were out doing these amazing things, and you took that as motivation to change yourself. You didn't allow that to make you feel intimidated. You know what I mean? The fact that you use that as inspiration yourself, I think, is awesome, because that was the same thing for me. When I was out of shape, I was like 40 pounds overweight 10 years ago. And was a desk jockey myself. And, you know, it was only when I started to feel a little bit like I was on the verge of becoming unhealthy to the point where it was going to change my life for the worse permanently, that I finally got on the ball and changed myself. So we've got a lot in common. And, you know, it's just great to hear that story from someone else, you know. But Ryan, I want at this point to talk a little bit about once you'd established yourself as a runner, and you said you ran your first half marathon, where along the lines did you decide that you wanted to share your story on YouTube? What was the motivation, and walk us through that whole process?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I was looking around at, you know, mainly as a hobby, right? Because, you know, something to do and decide, you know, now I'm getting fit and I was starting to see some real progress. I kind of wanted to do like a video journal for myself so I can look back on it and see, here's where I am, especially now that I'm doing this whole journey for qualified for Boston. I can go back and see a clip from January and what was my thought process back then, right? So it's more, it's a journal, it's like a story, it's a book, right?
Yeah.
Start to finish for myself, for my transition. And that was the two fronts. The first front was to explore, you know, hobby and doing video editing and, you know, playing with lighting and things like that. Just something fun to do, especially with the pandemic, because, you know, now we're in this scenario where everything's shut down and the limits of what we can do is there's not a lot available as far as like group things. So I was like, well, this is something that I could potentially take on. Let's start a YouTube channel. I said, okay, so I just started it. And, you know, it's funny too, because when you start the channel, you know, you post something that you think is good content and you get like 5 likes or you get 5 views, right? And you're like, man, I just spent 3 hours on this video and it's not but you have to stick with it, because it's just like when we did the weight loss, you have to stick with the process. And, you know, because there's a whole bunch of content I'm finding for runners on YouTube, and what I'm trying to do now is differentiate myself to be different. And that's what I'm going with my channel now. Is there are also a lot of trail running channels and things like that effect, but there's not really anybody who's doing a YouTube channel crossover between trail and road to qualify for Boston and how it all kind of plays in together.
Very cool.
That's what I'm trying to do with the channel that I'm doing, and I'm going to be doing a lot fall and winter time with the channel. I want to do more hiking, trail running, and where I'm basically going into the outbacks of the Rocky Mountains, overnighting, and then doing like expeditions up the glacier. Because I know a lot of these areas. I mentioned the company I work for in Banff, so I'm familiar with a lot of these beautiful places in BC that I have access to. And I want to showcase that. I want to showcase what it is in my area that is of offer, because it's gorgeous around here. And I'm really proud of where I live. I'm really proud of the area that
it's a beautiful area.
Yeah, I love it. And I feel that there's some content there, some value to offer people. And if I can motivate somebody to get off the chair and to get out and do something, then that's a win for me. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, and I love the comment, and you know, when you are giving me comments, it keeps me motivated, because there's days and you kind of off that couch, you're just like, I don't know if I can do it today. You see like a thumbs up or way to go or keep up the good work, and then you're like, okay, I can do this, right? I can keep going.
Exactly.
And that's another reason why I started the YouTube channel too, is it keeps me motivated, keeps me focused on my tasks, right? So it holds me accountable, right? Because everyone, you know, again, they're there and checking my progress, and you know, people are seeing for updates, and that's accountability for me too.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's exactly, you know, like there's a huge part of why I do what I do here too. I mean, I love interacting with the running community because it's such a positive place, you know, and on top of that, yeah, I'm to the point now where I share everything. You know, no matter how scary it is or how potentially ugly it could get, I love putting it out there because that forces me to be accountable, just like you said. So, you know, good stuff. And I got to say, I'm really looking forward to, I saw on one of your one of your earlier videos, inside the last week, I think, where you were starting to share some images from mountainsides and things like that. And I was like, oh man, if he keeps going down this road, his channel is going to explode.
Yeah.
I mean, such incredibly beautiful scenery, but
That's
yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Paul. And and that's the thing is, like, 5 or 6 years ago, I wouldn't even be able to walk up a flight of stairs,
Yeah.
there was another story I had when I was working for the heli ski company I was working for, because they did heli skiing and heli hiking in the summertime. There was this big Via Ferrata that they did, and the first season that I did it, and this was actually more motivation for me to get fit. That I did this Via Ferrata, which is, I'm not sure what a Via Ferrata is. It's a iron runs and put into the side of the mountain, and you climb up them like you do mountain climbing.
Okay.
And it's it's fairly physical, and again, I powered out about the lunch spot. It was me and this little old lady. It's like there was a theme to this, and I was like, there's a theme going on here. And I came back and did the walk of shame. A couple of the guys said, "Are you going to give up?" I said, "No, I'm going to come back next year. I'm going to conquer it." So the next season, I came back and I did another hiking trip up into Bobby Burns, which is the Selkirks of BC.
Okay.
And it was great. I had an absolute amazing time. Destroyed my goal and climbed this mountain, and that was my turning point. Once I climbed that mountain and got that mountain conquered, I realized really nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it.
Exactly.
And sometimes right now it feels so off with Boston and that goal, right? Because right now I'm on a 6 kilometer pace runner right now, and I know that run Boston I have to do it at about 4:15 per kilometer pace. And it feels like just insurmountable obstacles sometimes, right? But that's an obstacle. I call it obstacles to look forward to, right? Because there are obstacles that you're building to look forward to, something to conquer.
Exactly.
It's like, I've done this mountain, I've gotten fit. I wonder if I can do this, right? And that's where I'm at with it now. And that's what else can I do?
And that's the attitude to have, because that's what's going to take you to that goal and far past it.
Absolutely. And if it takes me 3 years, it takes me 3 years. It takes me 4 years, it takes me 4 years. I was watching it was Nick Barr, who's like, I'm sure you know Nick. He's a weightlifter, and he was last year doing his journey qualifying from Boston. And this guy's a tank. This guy is like, and he didn't qualify his first time. And I looked at that, I'm like, oh my God, this is just became very real. Nick can't do it, and then I'm expecting that I'm going to do it, right? But then he did it the next time around, and I was like, yeah, it's there's a lot of people that try to qualify. It takes a long progression. You can't expect it to happen overnight.
Exactly. It's a long, slow journey, just like anything else. It's all a lot of small steps.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where I'm at with right now. Let's see where things go.
You'll get there. You'll get there. You'll get there, and the thing is, just enjoy the process, because once you're there, you're just going to be, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to be like, yeah, Boston, no big deal. Now I'm going to try to, whatever the next goal happens to be, will seem insurmountable until you get there. So.
Well, yeah, I do have some things beyond I want to do. Like, I did a West Coast Trail through hike, and I want to go back. It's about a 73-kilometer round trip, and you can trail run it. So my goal is, in my 50th, I want to go back and I want to trail run it. So that once I qualify, Boston's first. Once I do Boston, I'm going to focus on. I love trail running. So once I get through Boston, I'm probably going to focus more on trail. Next year, I want to do Pikes Peak.
Oh wow, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, so I decided I want to stuff the more in his channel. He's always talking about Pikes Peak. It looks gorgeous, and Colorado is always one of those places I've been wanting to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think if we're in a good place in the world next year, I think I'm gonna give it a go. And that's so my focus now is mountain elevation, mountain training, really building on strength, because that's where I'm so powering out as a runner. I get to that 15, 16K point, and I start feeling it in my legs, and my mind starts playing these psychological games with me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to push through right now. once I get through that, I think this is where the elevation is going to help. This is going to build that strength in my legs and my core. Then in spring, I'm going to start training for Pikes Peak. Well, early spring, I'll start training for Pikes Peak, and I'll do that one. And then I'm going to do either Toronto or Kelowna next year to qualify. Both are supposed to be really good Canadian courses to qualify for Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But Kelowna's ranked very, very high as a qualified race. It's super flat.
Yeah,
so,
and I know Toronto's very, very flat, so
yeah,
no problems there.
Yeah, so one of the two I'm going to do next year, and then I'll kind of see which one it is. But that's the plan, and now I'm looking at all these. Oh man, this one will be good too. You keep seeing all these races around, and you're just like, oh man, that would be good.
They're all so tempting, right?
Yeah, so there's so much to do, and you're just like, I don't, but you have to focus on one, and once you get that focus on it, you can move on.
Exactly. Lock into a training cycle, get it done, and then move on to the next. Yeah.
Well, I'm on week 34, but so I started to do this whole thing in January. So on my channel, I'm documenting by week qualifying for Boston. So now I'm on week 34 of my journey. Sorry, week 35. I just finished week 34.
Yeah.
And so if it's gonna be interesting to see how many weeks it takes to get that magic. I think it's 320 or something that I'm going to qualify in. So
yeah, gotcha.
So that's the weekly goal. Is I just take each week as it comes, and hopefully not lose any more toenails like I did yesterday.
Yeah, you got to be careful which shoes you pick.
The things that they don't tell you as runners until you start running, right?
Oh yeah, one of the little bonuses of being a distance runner. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like, oh, I don't know that happens. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, exactly. Once you find a family of shoes that works for your particular set of feet, then just stick with them.
Yeah, and that's going to win this year. Is my shoe. The shoes I've been choosing have been really good. So yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. That goes a long way towards making running a lot more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But all right, Ryan, I'm going to ask you kind of like a big picture question here. I want to know how running has changed your life for the better.
Multiple ways, and it's a good question. First, it's the community. It's a community that I met running that I don't think I would have met anywhere else. The circle of runners and the support you get, I don't think there's another sport like it.
Yeah.
I see one of my videos the other day is like running is the only sport where you can be on the same starting line as an elite athlete, right? And run the same course they have, and they would probably high-five you on the way back, right?
Yeah.
As they're passing you, right? Because that's the way our sport is. It'll give you a thumbs up or something like that. You don't see that in basketball, you don't see that in hockey or any other type of professional sport. But running's just got this amazing culture around it, and it's really kind of made me open. I think it's also opened me up to possibilities. So possibilities for myself, both professionally and outside of work. Because now I'm more confident in my work environment. Not confident to the point of being cocky, but confident to the point of being able to hold better conversations with coworkers and superiors, and being able to be more eloquent when I'm speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And because when you're overweight, you're insecure. I used to have this nervous laugh, and everyone used to always comment on my laugh because it was nervousness.
Yeah.
Before I was also working in events, and I was working in the Olympics and FIFA and some other high profile places where again there's a lot of very fit people.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, and so I was nervous, right? And so I've lost that nervousness now, and I think it's helped me more professionally too as well. Like opened up new possibilities that I don't think would have happened before. So
that's great to hear. Yeah, I mean I think you touched on something that a lot of people, when they start running, they don't realize the emotional and cognitive transformation that they have just signed themselves up for. Everybody kind of gets into running most of the time because they want to become fitter, but they don't realize that mentally it makes you fitter, and emotionally it makes you more confident, just like you said. And it just transforms who you are as a person. So I think that's why people find it so addictive too,
Yeah, it really does. And you meet these amazing people and different walks of life. Everyone's got a story, and everyone's on a different path. That's why
I've always been said to be, be careful about, things like Strava and things like that, because you get so in tune with what other runners are doing, and you're like, well, why am I not like this? Because they're on a different journey than you're on. Like, everyone's on their own path. You can't compare yourself to how someone else is running, because maybe they've been running for 20 years, and of course you're gonna be a lot more, faster than you are, and you can't compare yourself to that. You have to pick your own
Exactly.
path. You have to pick your own path and your own style, and go with it. And that's what I learned. I've learned to let things go, and then kind of learned to just be in the moment and enjoy it.
That's just, you just said some wonderful stuff there, Ryan, and it kind of overlaps with what my next question is, but I'm going to ask this question anyway, because I think you might be able to take that even a little further, or even share something that you haven't shared yet. But I would like for you to share what you consider your favorite piece of advice, not just for runners, but also other YouTubers.
Be consistent. Be consistent in what it is you're doing. Don't cut corners as well. Running, don't cut corners, don't sell yourself short. Don't cut out a run partway through. You're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting your own progress. And a lot of times we're out there. I mean, this happens to me consistently, especially when you're in a long run and you're an hour and 45 minutes into a 2-hour long run, and you're like, well, I'll just call it now, right? Or, and you only have really another 10 minutes of it to go. Do the extra 10 minutes. Be consistent and ensure you finish what it is you started, because it helps with paying off at the end of the day. Yeah. Same with YouTube and starting a YouTube channel. Don't cut corners. There's a lot of things with YouTube too. There's a lot of you can pay for views, you can pay for things like that, and that's not representative of you as a creator. You want to have an audience around you that that people are engaged with what it is you're trying to do, and engaged with what you're trying to create. And if you're creating all these falsehoods and these false likes and these false subscribers, it's not. It adds to the. It's not true to what you're trying to achieve. I'd rather have my channel small, at 157 subscribers I have right now, and build it over time, than to go onto Fiverr or something like that and try to pay for a bunch of subscriber accounts that don't really mean anything in the long run.
Exactly.
Truth be told, I went down that road when I first started to do the YouTube thing. I created a channel, and I went, oh, I can just go onto Fiverr, and I can go and get subscribers to do this, right? And I said, okay, perfect. So I did that, and when I did that, I soon realized that what happens is that, yes, you get the subscriber count, but your view and your watch hours suffer dramatically.
Yeah.
Because you can have as many watch hours as you do subscribers. You may have your 1,000 subscribers, but you also have to have 4,000 watch hours on your channel. So when you do that approach, and you go through the Fiverr or a third-party source to get your subscriber count, it hurts your channel, and it hurts the message you're trying to create. And then I said to myself, let's grow it small. I'm not here to make $1 million off of YouTube. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to meet people and meet of all different walks of life, and to meet yourself. And if I hadn't done my channel, I never probably would have met you, Paul. So
exactly. This is what it's all about for me too. I back up everything you say.
Yeah, meeting people and creating content, and make sure what you're creating is, you have to be conscious of what you're creating. That if you're creating something that could be political or something that someone else may find negative, be prepared for what people are going to comment on. Because and take it with a grain of salt. Don't take it personally if someone's launching on you, and you can on your channel or something that you created. Because last year I had COVID, and I put a few things about COVID on my channel, and I was getting hate comments.
Oh boy.
And and you're like, what am I getting hate comments? It's like, well, because there's that anti-vaxxers and things like that, are so these other stuff, right? But so you can't take it personally. Don't just it's social media, and take it for what it's worth. And I've always said too, don't always believe what you're seeing on social media as well. A lot of times people post things, oh, I'm here, dude. Everything's roses and petals, right? And It's not true. And I've always said to myself, I'm just going to be true to my channel. I am who I am. If you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe.
No, it's great. It's great. It's great advice because, you know, as I was saying earlier, the genuine running community that's on YouTube is so overwhelmingly positive, just like the running community is in real life, just overwhelmingly positive. And they will prop you up when you're feeling low. And I don't know any other, like you were saying earlier, I don't know any other sport where everybody is so giving and nobody wants to try to outcompete you in the running community. It's like everybody is there saying, come on, come with me. I'm going to help you get where you want to get. And it's just wonderful. So I'm glad to hear everything you said, and the whole thing about being genuine and just sort of slowly building your audience is the way to go. And because then every time you get, you know, somebody watching one of your videos and commenting, you're getting genuine interaction. You're getting the support as a creator that keeps you going, as opposed to just kind of empty clicks, you know. So, you know, well said, sir. And with that, I want to take this opportunity to give people the chance to find you. So if you don't mind, please share all your different social media outlets, and everything you say I will share in the show notes below, so people can just go down there and click and you know, get to your channel and support you, because there's amazing things on the way from Ryan. So take it away, sir.
Yeah, so Instagram is Iron Legs Canada, so you can find me on Instagram and my account there. I generally put new videos and links on Instagram. Facebook, you can just Google Ryan Bradley, and there's a figure skating with Ryan Bradley, so make sure you're not clicking on that one. Two completely different sports, and if you like figure skating, go for it and click on that one. And then from a YouTube channel, it's called Runner's Corner. You can also just simply put in the search term Ryan Bradley running, and I will come up. I think I have enough content under now. You just, if you click on that, it will generally come up.
Yep.
What else? Twitter, I think it's Iron Legs Canada again, my Twitter account too. And yeah, so those are my socials. And, you know, and I post Strava as well, Ryan Bradley on Strava. So you'll find me on there too. And
cool.
I'm probably posting about something that's happened throughout the course of the week. So there we go. But yeah, those are my socials.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And like I said, everybody just click below. You'll find Ryan everywhere, just a click away. So with that, sir, I just want to thank you for being here, for doing this. And I enjoyed it. And just hearing a little bit more about your journey as a human being as well as a runner is really inspiring. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for joining me here today.
Absolutely, Paul, and congratulations on your channel. I saw that you're over 1,000 subscribers now, so that's inspiring for me to see how you've grown your channel and said, all right, just keep with it, and one day you'll get there too. So well done, sir, on all the great content on your channel. I enjoy watching your videos and your spotlights and whatnot. It keeps me motivated too as well. So thank you for all of the creation that you're doing.
I appreciate your kind words, sir. So with that, thank you. And I hope you enjoy what's left of our weekend here before we start into another week. But yeah, thank you, sir.
Sounds good, Paul. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.